Hi everyone, this is Chandra with C. Diane Designs. I hope you're having a great week. And this week I wanted to talk with you again about physical wellness. And in particular, I wanted to discuss the whole idea of healthy eating, which involves eating at home, cooking your own meals at home. Now, don't get me wrong, I love eating at restaurants. It's relaxing, it's a great way to get out and meet with friends, it's a great date. So, don't get me wrong, but we're focused on health right now and wellness today. So, I have been cooking our meals almost every day since the beginning of 2020. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I started out doing that already most of the time anyway, because, I've mentioned a few times now that my husband had a stroke. And we really had to make some adjustments to our diet. So most of that involved knowing exactly what was in our food. And the only way to do that was to cook meals at home. So, one of the reasons why I cook all our meals at home right now are for health reasons. And secondly, the one thing that really comes up is how much money we save cooking at home, eating at home. Now, even with shopping at a place like Whole Foods, which is really expensive. Whole Foods has been nicknamed Whole Paycheck by a lot of people, and that's for a good reason. The food is very expensive, but even with that, shopping there most of the time, we're still keeping so much money in our pocket, which is also really important for most people. Now, the third reason why I cook at home has a lot to do with it's just a good thing to do with your family. It's a great family activity. Um, you know, if you have children, it's good to get them started out cooking at home, helping them learn how to cook so that, when they grow up and they have their own homes or their own families to feed, it won't be foreign to them. They'll know how to cook and they'll know how to cook well. And I have a little thing to say about that. When I was younger, my parents were pretty strict. So I was at home a lot. But one thing they did, especially my mother, was encourage creative activities. And one of those things just happened to be cooking, and I liked cooking. And my father was also a good cook. So they both spend a lot of time helping me understand recipes, how to use different techniques in cooking. And I learned a lot about Southern cooking, which is always good. And so it's one of those things where I took for granted that going out in the world and growing up, that everyone knew how to cook. But that's just not the case. There are a lot of people, that's actually almost a whole generation of people right now that are used to microwave food, fast food, and are just now learning how to cook. So if you can do that activity, cook at home with your children, with your spouse, it's a great way to bond. It's a great way to teach children a new skill that will carry them far in life. Because when you can't afford to eat out, you don't want to feel like eating at home is a consolation prize. It's actually a very good thing. And it goes a very long way in terms of maintaining health. Also another thing I want to bring up from my childhood is that I'm the youngest of six kids. And my parents didn't make a lot of money, but one thing they were able to do, in particular my father, was we had a huge garden in our backyard. And that garden probably saved us in a couple of ways. First one, economically. No doubt, trying to feed 6 kids in an urban area would get expensive. So having, all types of vegetables, and we had several fruit trees as well. Having fresh fruits and vegetables is something we took for granted, but I think the 6 of us, as adults, we all know how to cook. Also, we are relatively very healthy. No one's had any major illnesses, no, what do you call it? No blood pressure issues that couldn't be easily managed or maintained. We're all very healthy adults, and we all know how to cook. And the other thing was that even though I didn't appreciate it as a child, it gave me a lot of quality time with my parents. They were both great cooks. So my mother would teach me a lot about baking, and my father would teach me a lot about preparing vegetables and meat. And in fact, when I was, 8 years old, I was making cakes and donuts and ice cream and steak dinners. And although a lot of that doesn't sound very healthy right now, partially because it was home cooked, and also, a lot of the ingredients were organic to begin with. The food was tasted good, and it was good for us overall. So, there's I know there's a push right now for with a lot of people to re-examine what they put in their bodies. Organic food is probably more popular than it's ever been. And vegetarianism and veganism is also very popular. And we all are starting to see the importance of taking care of our health through food. So as far as cooking at home and the things you can do to make it easier, one thing is to prep your food, clean all your vegetables before you even start to cook, and put them away in storage bags. They don't keep very long, especially some vegetables, especially if after you've washed and cleaned them. So make sure they're dry before you put them away, and use them as quickly as possible. The other thing I like to do is buy food in bulk whenever I can. That way I know what I have for a couple of weeks. I don't have to worry about constantly running to the store to pick up staple items like noodles or flour or oatmeal, things like that. You can always just pick up in bulk, and that's very helpful. So, if you eat out a lot, your habits aren't going to change overnight. So I would recommend trying a couple of days a week, more than you typically do, of cooking at home, and get your family involved. If you're going to have dinner guests, get them involved. Invite them over early, and you guys can cook together. It's more time together. It's an active, thing that can stimulate all types of conversations and ideas for future meals. You never know, or dinner parties. There's so much you can do around cooking at home that you can't do at a restaurant. It's an active thing. Restaurant eating usually revolves around sitting and waiting for your meal. It's a little more passive. So if you want to take control of your health, definitely get to a point where you're cooking at home is something you enjoy doing. And the other thing is, you don't necessarily even need a recipe book. There are so many great recipes available to you for free on Google and YouTube. There are so many people that are happy to share their cooking techniques and different ways of preparing food. So definitely look into that. Cooking at home is one of the absolute best things you can do for your health. So give it a try. This is Chandra with C. Diane Designs. Take care.